Good morning, caregivers. It is Tuesday, February 12th, and I'm glad you've chosen to join me for What's Going On with Mama, brought to you today by Vitamin Depot, where you can find all of your products for supplement kind of things. I can't get my words out here. That are good to keep you healthy so you don't need so many drugs. Yes, it's a good thing. Check out Vitamin Depot on Salnese Road. You can call them and he will send you products all over the country. So don't worry about it if you don't live close by. Hey, Michael and Keith, thanks for joining us this morning. Also, Passmore's Grocery, where you can have an absolutely wonderful breakfast or lunch. And as I've told you before, check out their tuna salad. I like that stuff. I'm a big tuna and fish fan. I gotta have some shrimp one day. Doesn't that sound good? Michael, you need to get me some shrimp to eat. And then Life in the Carolinas, lifeinthecarolinas.com, the wonderful, critically acclaimed television shows, won more awards than you can count. And they've got a page on their website called Married in the Carolinas. And this is the week of love. You know, as if this is the only week you're supposed to love. I don't know. But check out, if you've just gotten engaged or you're getting engaged, then check it out. Everything you'll need to know. Good morning, Miss Ella Jane Bratton Messer. She says that everything's looking good and she's up and she can't believe she's up. Well, I'm glad you're up too. Well, I am up this morning and I'm happy to be broadcasting today from our home in sunny Southwest Florida. It is supposed to be 82 degrees today. It is 68 right now. The sun is shining and I've got beautiful palm tree out my front door. That's happy. And if you're in Rock Hill, South Carolina, it's 47 degrees and you're going to have a high of 72. That's your weather report today, brought to you by me. So today is Tips on Tuesday. I want to take a minute. We're going to talk first about what is dementia, because after that we're going to talk about genetic testing. Have you thought about that? Well, I have. So dementia, don't forget what it is. Dementia is the inability to think clearly, but that inability to think clearly affects the activities of daily living. So it's not that just that you can't think straight, or you go, does anybody know where my glasses are? Or the other thing is you hold your phone up and you've been on the phone for so long that you forget that you're holding your phone and you start patting yourself down, hunting your phone. That is not dementia. Or you can't find your keys. Or yesterday we couldn't find the key to the car, because we don't bring our Florida car key back with us to South Carolina. Good morning, Roger. Roger's my cousin. So glad to see you. And hi, Peggy, to you also. Anyway, we don't take our Florida car key back to South Carolina. We leave it here. Well, we thought we did. We looked everywhere and couldn't find the stinking thing yesterday. We finally did. But that's not dementia, I don't think. But if we had have found that car key in the freezer, that would have been weird. That would have been no explanation for that. Why would we put the key in the freezer? That would be weird. So there's got to be more to that definition of the inability to think clearly. Goes on to say the inability to think clearly, which affects the activities of daily living. Now, we all do different things in our day. So what are the things that we do that we have in common? Well, there are 5 things the medical community has figured out that we all do. And you can remember them by the acronym BEAD, like the beads in a necklace, B-E-A-D. But you got to put a T on the end. So we bathe, that's the B. We all bathe. We all eat, and that's the E. We all ambulate, and that's the A, or move from point A to point B. And we all dress, that's the D. Although I've seen some of you people, and I wonder if you passed or failed the dressing test when you were growing up. Some of you, not so good at it. Just saying, I'm just saying. And then T on that acronym, B-E-A-D, with the T on the end. T is toileting. Hey, Sally. Well, the T is the part of that acronym that messes up my word, because I had bathing, eating, ambulating, dressing, bead. Isn't that wonderful? Then a T on the end just messes up my acronym, but the T is toileting, and boy, it messes up life, so it's really quite appropriate. So the inability to think clearly, which affects at least 2 of those 5 activities of daily living, the doctor's going to call it dementia. So then you want to find out what kind of dementia that we're talking about, because there are over 200 reasons somebody can have dementia. So now we've got a little bit, just a teeny little explanation of what dementia is. And you can check out my book. Where did I put it? Here it is. Let's Talk Dementia on Amazon. And I'm going to talk about that in more detail in the book. It's easy to read and you can find it on Amazon. It's only hit #1 about 8 or 10 times. Just saying. But what I wanted to take this discussion towards today is genetic testing. Read a great article in the Alzheimer's, what is this called? Foundation of America, a newsletter. It comes out, I think, 3 or 4 times a year. It's a great little newsletter I enjoy reading. But genetic testing is something that we can do for lots of different things to see if we have a predisposition towards various and a sundry different ailments that might come our way. And I've thought about this in my world. My mama has very advanced Alzheimer's. Mama spends most of her day in her, what she thinks is her lazy boy, relaxing, because Mama used to own a lazy boy store. Isn't it neither her chair or a lazy boy? But we don't need Mama to know that because she's happy in it. So she's not, doesn't have a large life. It's a very small life Mama has. My grandmother, her mother, had Alzheimer's. So yeah, you can bet Carol thinks about, is there a genetic component for me? What we know is if you have late onset Alzheimer's, that is Alzheimer's that you were diagnosed after the age of 65, and I'm talking Alzheimer's specifically here, then the genetic component is much smaller if there is one at all. If you have early onset Alzheimer's, that is that disease which was diagnosed before the age of 65, there is a much larger genetic component. So realizing that, you start thinking about genetic testing. If you saw the movie Still Alice, Alice was a college professor who was diagnosed with early onset. She was diagnosed before the age of 65. She was a professor right in the middle of her career, going really good, and then all of a sudden starting having symptoms, found out she had early onset. Well, her family members, her children, decided to investigate genetic testing to find out if they had a predisposition to that disease. Hi, Dale. And it seems to me, I'm trying to remember, you guys can correct me, it's been a while since I saw that movie, but I'm thinking that there were maybe 1 or 2 children who decided not to have the testing. Well, I would have been one of those children. I have not opted to have that testing done, and I want to tell you why. Well, what we know is with the genetic testing, it is looking for this gene called APOE4. Now, in your body, you have APOE2, 3, and 4. APOE3 is a good thing. You want APOE3. APOE4, not so good. But genetic testing is going to look for the presence of APOE4 in your body. However, if you get the report back and it says you have APOE4, does that mean you're going to get Alzheimer's? No, it does not. If it says you do not have APOE4, does it mean you are not going to get Alzheimer's? No, it does not. So I'm kind of thinking, why would you have the test done, right? So we do know that the folks who have late onset Alzheimer's, the odds of them having it, I think, are something like, it's less than 20 or 25%. Early onset Alzheimer's, we see it very prevalently, but just because you don't see it doesn't mean you're not going to have Alzheimer's, or just because you do see it in your profile doesn't mean you will have. But what it does mean is if they find out that the APOE4 is in your system, in your body, and you go to apply for insurance, and they go, have you been advised of any pre-existing possibilities? Have you had any genetic testing done? Any predispositions? Well, now all of a sudden you've got information you've got to share. So you can think, I'm just not going to tell them about that. Well, then I want to remind you about how prevalent it is for online information to be stolen and that information to be used. It is a real problem, and it was even brought about in this article I read, and I was kind of surprised that they took the article that direction, because it's something I've thought about too. I don't want to know that. Michael and I 2 years ago bought long-term care insurance. If you don't have yours, go to letstalkdementia.org. We've got a link there, and you can work with a wonderful company for your long-term care insurance. But at that point I said, I don't want to know do I have a predisposition to this stuff? Because if I did, it very well could have kept me from getting long-term care insurance. Now, on health insurance, because of Obamacare, you cannot have pre-existing conditions held against you. But that's not true for long-term care insurance. And honey, believe me, you want long-term care insurance. If you don't have it, go get it, because it is well worth the money. I deal with this every day, and the cost for care is very expensive. Long-term care insurance isn't cheap, but it is cheap compared to the cost of care. So you have to think about this genetic testing business. The other problem with genetic testing is these results are coming back, and they're not being interpreted by professionals. So we have the average Joe like me and you, and we're trying to read this and figure out what it means, and we don't know, and then we get worked up and upset about things that we might not should be upset about, or we don't take seriously the things that we should. But what they say is if you have the genetic testing done, it can change your lifestyle. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can do that without the genetic testing. We know that anything that's good for the heart is good for the brain. Do those things. We know that getting out and walking is good for the heart, it's good for the brain. That's my next thing on my plan for today. We know that eating right is good for the heart, it's good for the brain. We know that not eating meat, believe it or not, helps prevent or helps lower your chances of Alzheimer's. Sorry to tell you that, but it's the truth. Also keeps your belly happier. Let me tell you, I'm here to preach that one. So go ahead and do those things that are good for you. Reduce stress. Get rid of those stressful people in your world. Just don't mess with them. You don't have time for them because they're killing you. Just don't do it. So giving your scripture today, the scripture, this is the Carol's version, the Gospel According to Carol. It's a new book. Y'all should check it out. But the scriptures tell us in order to be healthy, to think about those things that are true and honorable and pure and just and lovely, of good report, things that are virtuous and praiseworthy. And when we think upon those things, we're doing something good for our heart and our brain. But the scripture says when we think upon those things, then the spirit of peace will dwell upon us. That sounds so good, doesn't it? The spirit of peace. And if you've got the spirit of peace, it's going to keep that stress and anxiety and depression down. That's good for your brain. I think that's better than getting that genetic testing. What you guys thinking? Just my thoughts on that. Well, check out Life in the Carolinas at lifeinthecarolinas.com, and you can watch episodes there. I enjoy watching several episodes because I don't have regular TV, so I have to watch it on the computer. You can do that no matter where you are. We actually have viewers of this show already in several countries, and I'm happy about that. And then Passmore's Grocery and Grill on Saluda. Hop on over there and have breakfast or lunch. And speaking of viewers in several countries, last week we had a viewer from Ireland. And guess what? Passmore's Grocery and Grill, their family's from Ireland. Isn't that kind of neat, that connection there? And then Vitamin Depot, tell David Graham, who by the way is related to Billy Graham, tell David that Carol sent you, and then you're in there to find a supplement for whatever it is you're looking for. We will be going to a store very similar to his here in Southwest Florida today to buy ear coning candles. You guys know about that? It's a Muslim shaped candle that you put in your ear and you light the other end. Well, here we go. You light the other end of it. Hey, Travis. And it burns down and it sucks out your head, all the gunk you got in your ears. It's the neatest thing. I do it for Michael, and he's got some sinus issues going on right now, and it takes the pressure off his ears and off of his sinuses. So I'll be doing that for him. I will not let him do that to my ears, because if he gets distracted, he will burn my head off. You do have to know how to do it to be safe. Hi, Robin. But anyway, so I'm going to be going and buying those, but David sells that kind of product too, so check it out at Vitamin Depot. Well, I hope you have a great caregiving journey and a good day, and I hope that something happens that makes you smile, and I hope you'll write and tell me about it. You can reach me, Carol, at letstalkdementia.org, and you can, let me turn this buzzer off so it doesn't bleep beep at us here. There we go. Check us out on Amazon. Check us out on iTunes for our podcast that is in 67 countries. And I thank you for joining me. Tomorrow, what is it we're going to talk about tomorrow? Hold on, I've got it written down. Oh, about training restaurant staff to work with folks with dementia. New article out about that. Something I'm very interested in. Have a great day. Keep smiling and think about all those things, those that are true and honorable and pure and happy. so that the spirit of peace can dwell upon you. Have a good day.